Felt good. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little different today. I know I usually have what we call, Bryant and I call spiels. Sharon Bryant, Joel and I call spiels. But I'm going to do something different. And it has to do with fear, and it has to do with secret places. And I'm not talking about secrets in the way of skeletons. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about things that maybe we used to do that gave us pleasure, things that we used to do that made us feel close to God when we did it, talents that we may have had that life got in the way of, jobs, kids, mortgages, things. Sometimes put that living in small places, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. So I grew up from a young age, like 6 years old, up to college, taking piano lessons. How many people knew that? Correct. I am, at best, considered intermediate, which I found out at my juried thing in college. But I was a music minor. I started out as a music major, switched my major. But I stayed as a music minor, not for piano. I played the flute. So I was in the band, in the symphony band there. But I loved playing the piano. I was decent. I got to regionals in high school in the flute, but I loved playing the piano. So I kept being a music minor. It had nothing to do with my major. I kept doing a music minor because you got your lessons for free. But then it got to the point where I couldn't keep up with being a music minor, because anybody who's a music major knows you've got like 1,000,001 credit courses, and they take up a lot of time. And it really wasn't helping me advance towards my degree. It was just my hobby. So I told my piano professor, I said, I can't continue to take lessons because I can't afford to pay for them. So Roger Lee, will you put up the first picture, please? There I am. So this is 40 years ago. So my professor said, then I will give them to you for free. Yes. So I took lessons up through 20, when I was 20 years old. So maybe 21. No, 20. It was 20. But then I got married at the age of 21. We lived in apartments. We didn't have any money. We moved up here so Frank can go to school. We didn't have any money. Still lived in apartments, didn't have any money. And then when we had kids, you start diverting your money towards the kids. And we just never got a piano. This past fall, I brought it up. I said, maybe it's time. The kids are out of the house. They're all growed, doing their thing. And maybe it's time to get a piano. And Frank said, I agree. So Frank, in his fashion, I know sometimes I say things about him that can be not derogatory, but, well, Frank, he said this, Frank, he said that. Oh, we had disagreement on this. The man is generous, sometimes to a fault. So I said I wanted a piano, and I was fine with an upright. I don't know if you all know the difference, uprights, and then there's grands and baby grands. He says, I want to get you a grand piano. I said, I don't need a grand piano. I just need a little upright, to put in the corner over here. We cleared out a room. We used to call it the playroom, where the kids' toys were, and then where the computer was. You remember that? Where the computer was. We have cleared that out, and it is now, Roger Lee, will you put up the next picture? The piano room. So, now, you would think this would be like riding a bicycle. I have not played for 40 years. And I'm serious, I have not played for 40 years. Maybe chopsticks one time. Reading music is like a foreign language. It really is. It has its own language, and the notes and the hand fingerings and that type of thing. So I was hopeful that this would be like riding a bicycle. I was wrong. It is not. I even had to get like this, the piano keys. You can put something behind the piano keys that tells you what key it is and what note it is on. I had to get that, like I was 6 years old again. And so, but I have been practicing almost every day since then. Now, here's where I'm going with this. I want to share it with you. This song is what I played in high school, actually, and I have 3 stars on it, 2 gold and a blue, so I must have done okay when I was in high school. I am more afraid of playing this piece for you than I am of the coronavirus. See? Because there's something about sharing a secret place, is there not? There's something about something that God has given you, and I get a lot of pleasure out of this. And when I play, I feel closer to him, if you will. My husband, where's Jordan? David. My husband says when he listens to jazz, that's when he thinks about God all the time, because jazz is so important to him. He has a love for it. So I'm assuming when you play, there's a God thing that's going on, not when you're just in church. You know what I mean? So some people write. Some people, I think of Malika, who does all kinds of things, but I think there's secret places in us that we don't want to share with each other out of fear. So I'm thinking it's time to go back to your secret place. It's time to go back to what God has given you that makes you feel close to him. So, Mark's going to help me. I'm going to play for you. My encore is still in being practiced. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I wanted to share that with you. It just occurred to me that this was something that it's almost like it percolates no matter how many years. And yes, it's been 4 decades, but I just feel so much joy when I play. And Frank hears all the clunkers. I mean, I'll tell you what, it's rusty. And I would have to practice maybe 4 hours a day to get where I was. And so I've started trying to do that. Not 4 hours a day. But it is something that gives me a lot of joy. And I feel like the Lord wants you to do things that give you a lot of joy. What is the secret place that he has given you in your heart that gives you joy? Because that's where you will experience him, because he gave it to you to experience. Amen? Amen. Thank you.